Hey there, night owls and history buffs. Tonight, we're diving into the surprisingly complex world of our ancient ancestors. Ever wonder what cavemen actually did all day? Well, it wasn't just grunting and clubbing woolly mammoths, that's for sure. Before we embark on this prehistoric journey, take a moment to like this video and hit that subscribe button, but only if you genuinely enjoy what we do here. No pressure, just good vibes. Okay. And hey, drop a comment letting me know where you're retuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see our global community coming together, right? Let's set the mood. Dim those lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. Get cozy, because we're about to ease into tonight's sleep story together. Let's picture this. The gentle crackle of a cozy fireplace, the soft glow of embers, and tales of our distant past. Perfect for drifting off to dreamland. Now, let's rewind the clock about 20,000 years or so. The average day for a Paleolithic human kicked off at dawn, sometimes even earlier if the wind was howling, or if your cave neighbor started that annoying coughing fit again. No fancy memory foam mattresses back then, folks. Most people snoozed on animal hides or straight up packed earth. If you were lucky, you might have a layer of dried grass or leaves for a bit of cushioning. Sleeping arrangements were a far cry from our modern private bedrooms. Privacy that wasn't even a concept. Everyone slept in tight-knit groups, families, extended families, and whoever else was part of the local band. Every snore, every whisper, well, you get the idea. It was all out in the open, and sleeping away from the group, not unless you fancied waking up, minus a foot, courtesy of the local predators. The first order of business after cracking open those eyes, check the fire. If it went out overnight, someone had the not-so-enviable task of restarting it. No matches or lighters here, just good old-fashioned patience and a whole lot of stick rubbing. On a chilly morning, you can bet everyone was a bit grumpy until that warm glow returned. But life wasn't all about fire maintenance and avoiding becoming a snack for saber-toothed tigers. Ancestors were surprisingly busy and, dare I say, occasionally ridiculous in their day-to-day lives. They were innovators, artists, and survivors, all rolled into one. Once the fire was sorted, it was time to tackle the day's main events. Hunting and gathering weren't just occasional activities. They were the cornerstone of survival. Men often set out on hunting expeditions, armed with spears and their wits. But don't picture some macho caveman single-handedly taking down a mammoth. Hunting was a team sport, requiring strategy, patience, and a fair bit of luck. Meanwhile, the gatherers, often women, but not exclusively, were the unsung heroes of prehistoric nutrition. They foraged for berries, nuts, roots, and anything else edible they could find. This wasn't just aimless wandering. It required an encyclopedic knowledge of local plants, their seasons, and their uses. It's one wrong berry, and you'd be in for a very unpleasant day. But life in the Paleolithic era wasn't all work and no play. Our ancestors had a surprising amount of downtime, especially compared to early agricultural societies. They crafted tools, not just for hunting, but for everyday use. Imagine sitting around a fire, carefully chipping away at a piece of flint to create the perfect arrowhead. It was part necessity, part art form. Speaking of art, let's not forget the cave paintings. These weren't just random doodles. They were complex, meaningful representations of their world. Picture a group huddled in a dimly lit cave, using pigments made from crushed minerals to create vibrant scenes of hunts, animals, and abstract symbols. It was their way of communicating, preserving memories, and maybe even practicing a bit of prehistoric magic. Social life was a big deal too. Contrary to the stereotype of the lone caveman, Paleolithic humans were highly social creatures. Evenings were often spent around the fire, sharing stories, passing down knowledge, and strengthening community bonds. They might not have had Netflix, but they had something perhaps more valuable: genuine human connection. As night fell, The cycle would begin anew. The fire would be stoked. The group would huddle close for warmth and safety, and they'd drift off to sleep under a canopy of stars, ready to face another day in the prehistoric world. Now, as we wind down our journey through a day in the life of our ancient ancestors, let the gentle crackle of our imaginary fire soothe you. Feel the weight of modern worries lift as you connect with the simplicity and raw survival of those long-ago days. Imagine the soft glow of embers, the whisper of wind through ancient trees, and the distant calls of long-extinct animals. Let these prehistoric sounds and images guide you towards peaceful slumber. Hey, as your eyelids grow heavy, ponder the resilience and ingenuity of our species. From those humble beginnings in caves and open plains, we've come so far. Yet, in many ways, we're not so different from our Paleolithic ancestors. We still seek warmth, community, and purpose in our daily lives. Let the rhythm of prehistoric life, the daily rituals, the connection to nature, the simple joys of survival, lull you into a deep, restful sleep. As you drift off, carry with you the strength and adaptability of those who came before us. Remember, in the grand tapestry of human history, your worries and struggles are but a small thread. Take comfort in the continuity of human experience, stretching back tens of thousands of years. The fire in our story slowly dims, the cave grows quiet, and our Paleolithic family settles in for the night. As they did, so can you. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the gentle waves of sleep wash over you. Good night, sleep tight, and may your dreams be filled with the wonder and mystery of our shared human past. Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the surprisingly complex and occasionally mind-boggling world of the Manhattan Project. What really went on behind those top-secret doors from 1942 to 1946? Turns out, it wasn't just a bunch of scientists scribbling equations and mixing chemicals. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights. Maybe light a candle for that soft, flickering glow, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The Manhattan Project began in the early days of World War II, when the United States government realized the potential for a devastating new weapon. It all started with a letter from Albert Einstein to President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1939, warning of the possibility that Nazi Germany might develop an atomic bomb. This wasn't just your average "Dear Mr. President" letter. It was a wake-up call that would change the course of history. The project officially kicked off in 1942, under the leadership of General Leslie Groves and physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer. Now, imagine trying to organize the world's biggest scientific endeavor, while keeping it all hush-hush. It was like planning a surprise party for the entire planet, except instead of balloons and cake, they were working with uranium and plutonium. The first thing they did was set up secret research facilities across the country. The main site was in Los Alamos, New Mexico, a place so remote that even the tumbleweeds got lost trying to find it. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel from all over flocked to these locations, often with little idea of what they were actually working on. It was like the world's most intense game of scientific blind man's buff. Privacy didn't exist in these facilities. Everyone lived and worked in close quarters, sharing everything from meals to top-secret information. Can you imagine trying to keep a secret when your neighbor can hear you snoring through the wall? It was a pressure cooker of brilliant minds, each working on a piece of the atomic puzzle without seeing the full picture. The daily routine at places like Los Alamos was anything but ordinary. Scientists would wake up at dawn or slightly before, depending on how loud their roommate's alarm clock was, or whether someone nearby started having a eureka moment in their sleep. Most people slept on simple cots or bunk beds, sometimes with a layer of classified documents as extra padding. You probably slept near your workstation, not for convenience, but to keep an eye on your experiments and to make sure no one was peeking at your calculations. The first thing you did after waking up was check your equations. If you made a mistake, someone had to recalculate everything. That could take time, patience, and a lot of eraser dust. If it was a particularly tricky problem, which depending on the day it often was, everyone would be cranky until it was solved. Coffee consumption reached historic highs during these years. As the day progressed, the scientists would gather in small groups, huddled over chalkboards or hunched over complex machinery. They were split into teams, each working on different aspects of the bomb's development. Some focused on uranium enrichment, others on plutonium production, and still others on the actual design of the bomb itself. It was like a giant, deadly jigsaw puzzle, with each team holding a crucial piece. Meals were taken in communal dining halls, where conversations about neutron emission and chain reactions were as common as discussions about the weather. Imagine trying to enjoy your mashed potatoes while the person next to you casually mentions the possibility of igniting the entire atmosphere. It's enough to give anyone indigestion. Security was tight, to put it mildly. Every scrap of paper, every calculation, every experiment was closely guarded. Scientists weren't allowed to discuss their work with anyone outside their immediate team, not even their families. So letters home were heavily censored, and phone calls were monitored. Kit was like living in a spy novel, except with more math and less martinis. Despite the secrecy, or perhaps because of it, rumors and speculation ran rampant. Everyone knew they were working on something big, but few knew exactly what. Some thought they were developing a new energy source. Others believed they were creating a super weapon. The truth, as it turned out, was even more earth-shattering than anyone could have imagined. As the project progressed, tensions rose. The race against Nazi Germany was on, and the pressure to succeed was immense. Scientists worked around the clock, pushing the boundaries of known physics and venturing into uncharted scientific territory. It was like trying to build a spaceship while simultaneously inventing the concept of space travel. The culmination of all this work came on July 16, 1945, with the Trinity test in the New Mexico desert. As the first atomic bomb detonated, creating a mushroom cloud that rose 40,000 feet into the air. The scientists watched with a mixture of awe, pride, and horror. Oppenheimer famously quoted the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." It was a moment that would forever change the course of human history. In the aftermath of the Trinity test, the project shifted gears. The bombs were prepared for use, and on August 6th and 9th, 1945, they were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war ended shortly after, but the ethical debates surrounding the use of atomic weapons continue to this day. The Manhattan Project didn't end with the war. Its legacy continued in the form of nuclear energy research, arms race, politics, and ongoing debates about the role of science in warfare. The scientists who worked on the project grappled with the moral implications of their work for the rest of their lives. It was a burden as heavy as the atoms they had split. As we wind down our journey through this chapter of history, it's worth reflecting on the immense impact of the Manhattan Project. It was a testament to human ingenuity and collaboration, but also a sobering reminder of the awesome and terrible power we can unleash. The fireplace crackles softly in the background, its warm glow a stark contrast to the cold, hard realities of the atomic age. As you drift off to sleep, ponder the complexities of this moment in history, the brilliant minds, the moral dilemmas, the world-changing consequences. Let the gentle sounds of the fire and the weight of history lull you into a peaceful slumber. And remember, as you close your eyes, that the story of the Manhattan Project is more than just a tale of scientific achievement. It's a reminder of the responsibility that comes with knowledge, the power of human collaboration, and the unforeseen consequences of our actions. Sweet dreams, and may your sleep be as peaceful as the world we all hope for. Hey there, night owls, and history buffs. Tonight, we're diving into the surprisingly stylish and occasionally ridiculous world of ancient fashion. Ever wonder what your great dash times dash a dash thousand grandparents wore to impress their cave neighbors? Well, turns out it wasn't just animal skins and bone necklaces. Before we slip into our comfy togas, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoyed dozing off the tales of bygone couture. And hey, drop a comment letting me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining our little nocturnal history club from around the globe. Now, dim those lights, maybe light a candle for that authentic ancient ambience. And let's ease into tonight's journey through the fashion runways of antiquity. Picture this. It's dawn in ancient Egypt, and you're a pharaoh's favorite fashionista. You're not reaching for a closet full of hangers. Oh no. Your day begins with a team of servants carefully wrapping you in yards of the finest linen. It's not just about looking good, it's about staying cool in that scorching desert heat. And let's not forget the all-important eye makeup. That thick black coal isn't just for looks, it's also to protect your eyes from the glare of the sun. Talk about functional fashion. But wait, there's more to ancient Egyptian style than just linen and eyeliner. Jewelry was a big deal, and we're not talking about a simple pair of earrings. Necklaces, bracelets, anklets, the more, the merrier. And if you were really important, you'd be sporting a fancy headdress. Just imagine trying to balance that on your head while going about your daily pyramid building or papyrus writing. Now, let's hop in our time machine and zip over to ancient Greece. Here, the fashion was all about the drape. The kitten, a simple tunic-like garment, was the go-to outfit for both men and women. But don't be fooled by its simplicity. The way you draped and pinned your kitten could say a lot about your social status and personal style. It's like the ancient equivalent of choosing between skinny jeans or bootcut. And speaking of pins, those weren't just any old safety pins holding your outfit together. Fibulae, as they were called, were often works of art in themselves. Imagine walking around with tiny sculptures keeping your clothes on. Now, that's what I call wearable art. But let's not forget about footwear. In Greece, sandals were all the rage. And not just any sandals. We're talking intricately designed, sometimes even gilded sandals. It's like they were competing to see who could have the fanciest flip-flops. And if you were a soldier, well, you've got to rock some seriously badass boots. Nothing says I'm here to conquer like a pair of knee-high leather boots. Now, let's take a little detour to ancient Rome. These folks took fashion so seriously, they had laws about who could wear what colors. Purple was reserved for the emperor and his family. Can you imagine getting arrested for wearing the wrong shade? Talk about fashion police. Roman togas were a big deal, and not just because they looked fancy. The way you wore your toga, how you draped it, even the fabric it was made from. All of these things sent messages about who you were and what your status was. It's like the ancient version of designer labels. But here's the kicker. Togas were actually pretty impractical. They were heavy, hard to keep clean, and a nightmare in windy weather. So why did Romans stick with them? Well, it was all about tradition and showing off. It's kind of like how we still wear uncomfortable shoes, just because they look good. Let's not forget about hairstyles. Roman women took their hair game seriously. We're talking elaborate updos that would put modern wedding hairstyles to shame. Some of these styles were so complex, they required a small army of slaves to create and maintain. And the men weren't left out. A good beard trim was essential for any respectable Roman gentleman. Now, let's journey even further back in time to the Paleolithic era. You might think fashion wasn't a big deal for our cave-dwelling ancestors, but you'd be wrong. These folks were rocking some serious style, albeit in a more, let's say, rustic way. Imagine waking up in your cozy cave, stretching out on your bed of animal furs. Your first task of the day is deciding what to wear. But instead of opening a closet, you're reaching for your trusty stone tools. That's right, Fashion in the Paleolithic era was a DIY affair. Your outfit of the day might include a tunic made from animal skins, carefully sewn together with sinew thread using bone needles. And let's not forget accessories, a necklace of animal teeth or shells, perhaps. Maybe a fetching headband made from plant fibers. It's not exactly New York Fashion Week, but hey, you've got to work with what you've got. But fashion wasn't just about looking good, it was also about survival. Those animal skin clothes, they weren't just for modesty, they were essential for keeping warm in the harsh Ice Age climate. And those shell necklaces weren't just for show. They might have been used to carry small objects, or even as a form of early currency. As the night wears on and the fire crackles softly, let's ponder the evolution of fashion through the ages. From the practical animal skins of our Paleolithic ancestors to the elaborate togas of ancient Rome, fashion has always been more than just clothing. It's been a way to express identity, to show status, and sometimes just to have a bit of fun. Think about the ancient Egyptians with their carefully pleated linen garments and intricate jewelry, or the Greeks draping themselves in elegantly flowing chittons. Each culture, each era, had its own unique style, its own way of using clothing to tell a story. And as you drift off to sleep, consider this. What will future archaeologists think of our fashion choices? Will they puzzle over our skinny jeans the way we puzzle over togas? Will they wonder at the purpose of neckties, the way we wonder about elaborate Roman hairstyles? Fashion, it seems, is a constant in human history. From the simplest animal skin wrap to the most complex couture gown, we've always found ways to adorn ourselves, to stand out, to belong. It's a thread that connects us through time, a silent language that speaks volumes about who we are and how we see ourselves. As the fire dies down and the night grows deeper, let these thoughts of ancient fashions and timeless human creativity lull you into a peaceful sleep. Dream of pharaohs in their finery, of Greek philosophers in flowing robes, of Roman senators adjusting their togas. And remember, whether you're wearing the latest designer label or your comfiest pajamas, you're part of a long, colorful history of human self-expression through clothing. So sleep well, dear listeners, wrapped in the soft embrace of history. And who knows, maybe in your dreams you'll strut down a runway that stretches from the dawn of humanity to the far-flung future, wearing the best of every era. After all, in a world of fashion, anything is possible. Good night, sleep tight, and don't let the bed bugs bite. Unless they're wearing fabulous tiny togas, of course. Hey there, night owls and history buffs. Tonight, we're diving into the surprisingly fascinating world of eyeglasses. I know, you're probably thinking, eyeglasses, really? But trust me, this journey through time is going to be more eye-opening than you'd expect. Before we get started, take a moment to adjust your pillows, maybe dim the lights a bit, and if you're enjoying what we do here, go ahead and hit that like button. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, but only if you genuinely want to. No pressure. I'm always curious to know where you're tuning in from, so drop a comment, letting me know your location and what time it is for you. It's pretty amazing to see our little community spread across the globe. Alright, let's settle in and let the gentle crackle of our virtual fireplace transport us back in time. Close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin our journey into the history of eyeglasses. Our story begins long before the first pair of spectacles ever graced a nose. In ancient times, people with poor vision simply had to make do. Imagine trying to decipher hieroglyphics or craft intricate jewelry with blurry vision. Not an easy task. The earliest known reference to magnification dates back to the 1st century AD, when the Roman philosopher Seneca mentioned using a glass globe filled with water to magnify text. But this was far from practical for everyday use. Fast forward to the 13th century, and we find ourselves in Italy, where the first wearable eyeglasses were invented. Catch this. It's a warm evening in Venice, the canals reflecting the golden light of sunset. A skilled craftsman is hunched over his workbench, carefully fitting 2 magnifying lenses into a bone, metal, or leather frame. These early glasses were essentially just two magnifying glasses riveted together at the handles, balanced precariously on the nose. Not exactly the height of fashion or comfort, but hey, it was a start. The invention of eyeglasses was a game changer. Suddenly, monks could continue their meticulous work of illuminating manuscripts well into their later years. Scholars could pore over texts without straining their eyes. And let's not forget the impact on art. Imagine how many masterpieces might never have been created if artists had lost their vision prematurely. As we drift further into our historical slumber, let's pause for a moment to consider how these early spectacles were made. The lenses were crafted from quartz or beryl, painstakingly ground and polished by hand. It was a time-consuming process, making early eyeglasses a luxury item reserved for the wealthy and educated elite. But as with any new technology, improvements came quickly. By the 14th century, glassmakers in Venice had perfected the art of creating clear, colorless glass, a material much more suitable for spectacle lenses. This breakthrough made eyeglasses more affordable and accessible to a wider range of people. Now, let's take a detour to China, where a parallel development was taking place. Chinese judges in the 12th century were known to wear smoke-tinted quartz lenses, not to correct vision, but to hide their facial expressions in court. It's a reminder that sometimes the most significant inventions can arise from unexpected needs. As we float through the centuries, we come to the Renaissance, a time of great innovation and discovery. It was during this period that concave lenses for nearsightedness were developed, expanding the usefulness of eyeglasses even further. Imagine the excitement of a nearsighted person seeing distant objects clearly for the first time. It must have felt like magic. The fireplace crackles softly as we move into the 18th century, a time when eyeglasses began to evolve from mere practical devices into fashion statements. Picture the elaborate lorgnettes favored by ladies of the French court, or the monocles sported by English gentlemen. These weren't just tools for better vision. They were symbols of sophistication and status. But let's not forget the ordinary folk. For them, eyeglasses were still primarily functional. Peddlers would travel from town to town, carrying boxes of spectacles in various strengths. People would try on pair after pair until they found one that worked. Much like we might test reading glasses at a drugstore today. As we drift closer to modern times, we encounter Benjamin Franklin, a man of many talents. In 1784, frustrated with constantly switching between two pairs of glasses, he invented bifocals. Picture him hunched over his desk, carefully cutting two lenses in half and combining them in a single frame. It was a simple idea, but one that would change the lives of millions. The 19th century brought with it the Industrial Revolution, and with it, new manufacturing techniques that made eyeglasses more affordable and widely available than ever before. Mass production meant that more people could access the gift of clear vision. It's hard to overstate the impact this had on society. Suddenly, people could work, read, and participate in daily life well into old age. As our eyelids grow heavy and we sink deeper into relaxation, let's fast forward to the 20th century. This was when eyeglasses truly became a part of popular culture. From the round spectacles of John Lennon to the cat-eye frames of Marilyn Monroe, glasses became as much a fashioned accessory as a visual aid. But the story of eyeglasses doesn't end there. In recent decades, we've seen the rise of contact lenses, laser eye surgery, and even smart glasses that can display information right before our eyes. It's a far cry from those first crude spectacles balanced on medieval noses. As we drift off to sleep, let's take a moment to appreciate the journey we've been on. From ancient Romans peering through water-filled globes to the high-tech lenses of today. The history of eyeglasses is a testament to human ingenuity and our constant quest to see the world more clearly. The fire crackles softly, its warm glow fading as we slip into dreams. Perhaps you'll see the world a little differently tomorrow. The newfound appreciation for those small miracles perched on your nose or resting in your contact lens case. As we conclude our journey through the history of eyeglasses, Remember that every pair of spectacles you encounter carries with it centuries of innovation, craftsmanship, and human perseverance. From the monks of medieval monasteries to the scientists of modern laboratories, countless individuals have contributed to the evolution of this simple yet transformative invention. So the next time you put on your glasses or pop in your contacts, take a moment to marvel at the long and winding road that brought us to this point. And as you drift off to sleep, surrounded by the gentle sounds of our virtual fireplace, know that you're part of a story that's still being written, a story of humanity's endless quest to see the world more clearly. In all its beauty and complexity, sweet dreams, and may your vision always be clear, both in your waking hours and in your dreams. Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the surprisingly complex and occasionally scandalous world of medieval bedroom antics, ancient philosophies, and some seriously steamy Roman baths. But before we get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Okay? Now, dim the lights, maybe light a candle for that soft, flickering glow, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Let's start with a question that's probably crossed your mind at least once. What was S3X really like in medieval times? Well, it wasn't all chastity belts and prudish behavior, that's for sure. In fact, medieval folks were a lot more open about their desires than you might think. The average day for a medieval couple began at dawn, or slightly before, depending on how loud the roosters were or whether someone nearby started snoring again. Most people slept on straw mattresses or directly on wooden beds, sometimes with a layer of wool or linen for padding. You probably slept near your spouse, not for romance, but for warmth and to keep the bed bugs at bay. Sleeping away from your partner wasn't really an option unless you wanted to wake up to a very angry spouse. Privacy didn't exist in medieval homes. Everyone heard everything, which made for some awkward breakfast conversations. When it came to the act itself, things were a bit more complicated than just lie back and think of England. The church had a lot to say about when, how, and why couples should get intimate. Believe it or not, there were actually designated S3X free days, usually around religious holidays. Let's be honest, how many people actually followed those rules? Contraception was a whole other ballgame. While the church frowned upon it, people still found ways to avoid unwanted pregnancies, from herbal concoctions to some truly bizarre methods. Medieval folks got pretty creative. Of course, the effectiveness of these methods was questionable at best, but it wasn't all doom and gloom in the medieval bedroom. People still found ways to enjoy themselves, even if they had to be a bit more discreet about it. Love poetry, courtly romance, and even some pretty spicy literature circulated among the literate classes. And let's not forget about the infamous medieval bathhouses, which were often hotbeds of, well, let's call it extracurricular activities. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about something a little less the origins of stoicism and mental clarity. Let's picture this. You're in ancient Greece. It's a beautiful, sunny day. You're strolling through the painted porch in Athens. This isn't just any old porch. It's where the Stoic philosophy was born. Stoicism, founded by Zeno of Citium around 300 BCE, wasn't just about keeping a stiff upper lip. It was a whole way of life, focused on living in harmony with nature and cultivating inner peace. The Stoics believe that by mastering our emotions and focusing on what we can control, we could achieve true happiness and mental clarity. But don't think these ancient philosophers were all serious all the time. They had a sense of humor too. Take Epictetus, for example. This guy was born a slave, gained his freedom, and became one of the most influential Stoic teachers. He once said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" Now, that's what I call ancient sass. The Stoics were all about practical wisdom. They didn't just sit around pondering the meaning of life. They gave concrete advice on how to live it. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, wrote a whole book of personal reflections that's still relevant today. Imagine being so wise that people are still quoting you nearly 2,000 years later. Talk about leaving a legacy. But Stoicism wasn't just for the elite, okay? It spread throughout the Roman Empire, influencing people from all walks of life. Soldiers used it to stay calm in battle. Politicians used it to navigate the treacherous waters of Roman politics, and ordinary folks used it to deal with the ups and downs of daily life. It's like ancient self-help, but with more togas and fewer inspirational Instagram posts. Speaking of Romans, let's dive into something they were really good at: bath culture. Now, when we say Roman baths, we're not talking about a quick shower before work. These were massive, elaborate complexes that were the heart of Roman social life. Imagine a combination of a spa, a gym, a library, and a social club, all rolled into one steamy package. The average day at the Roman baths began with a workout. You'd hit the palestra or exercise ground to work up a sweat. Then it was time for the main event, the bathing ritual. You'd start in the tepidarium, or a warm room, to get your body ready for the heat. Next up was the caldarium, the hot room, where you'd sweat out all those toxins. Finally, you'd brave the frigidarium, the cold plunge pool, to close up those pores and feel invigorated. But the baths weren't just about getting clean. They were where you caught up on the latest gossip, made business deals, and maybe even found a romantic partner. The steam room was basically the ancient Roman version of a dating app, minus the swiping. And let's not forget about the amenities. Many bath complexes had libraries, lecture halls, and even restaurants. It was like a day at the mall, but with more nudity and philosophical debates. The Romans took their bathing so seriously that they even had a god of health and cleanliness, Salus. Talk about washing your sins away. But it wasn't all fun and games, okay? The baths could be pretty gross by modern standards, with hundreds of people using the same water every day. Let's just say hygiene wasn't exactly top-notch. Don't even get me started on the communal sponge and stick they use instead of toilet paper. Some things are better left in the past. Now, let's wrap up our historical journey with a look at ancient Egyptian medicine. When we think of ancient Egypt, we usually picture pyramids, mummies, and fancy eyeliner. But these guys were also pretty advanced when it came to medical knowledge. The ancient Egyptians had a holistic approach to health, believing that physical and spiritual well-being were interconnected. They had gods for everything, including health and medicine. Imhotep, originally an architect who designed the first pyramid, was later deified as the god of medicine. Talk about a career change. Egyptian doctors were highly respected and specialized in different areas of medicine: eye doctors, dentists, and even shepherds of the anus. They were so advanced that they even performed brain surgery, although the survival rate was, let's just say, it wasn't great. One of the most famous Egyptian medical texts is the Edwin Smith Papyrus, which dates back to around 1600 BCE. It describes 48 cases of injuries, fractures, wounds, dislocations, and tumors. Each case is presented in a logical manner: examination, diagnosis, treatment, and prognosis. It's like an ancient version of WebMD, but probably more accurate. The Egyptians were also big on prevention. They believed in the power of cleanliness and had a whole range of cosmetics and perfumes that they thought would ward off illness. They were particularly concerned about eye health, probably because of all that desert sand. Their eye makeup wasn't just for looks. It also contained antimicrobial properties that helped prevent eye infections. But it wasn't all scientific. Egyptian medicine also involved a healthy dose of magic and religion. Spells and incantations were often used alongside more practical treatments, and if all else failed, they could always appeal to the gods for help. It's like having a doctor's appointment and a therapy session all in one. As we wind down our journey through history, from medieval bedrooms to Egyptian operating rooms, it's amazing to see how far we've come, and, in some ways, how little has changed. Whether it's seeking love, finding inner peace, enjoying a good bath, or trying to stay healthy, these are all things we still grapple with today. So, as you drift off to sleep tonight, maybe ponder the wisdom of the Stoics, be grateful for modern plumbing, and remember that no matter how bad your day was, at least you didn't have to use a communal sponge on a stick. Sweet dreams, everyone. Hey there, sleepy heads. Tonight, we're diving into the dusty, sun-baked world of the Crusades, where religious zeal, terrible roads, and even worse life choices collided in a spectacular mess. Whether you were a noble knight, a lowly peasant, or just someone who happened to own a donkey, the Crusades were ready to turn your life upside down and possibly cut it short. Before we embark on this journey through time, take a moment to adjust your pillows, maybe dim the lights a bit, and let the gentle crackle of our virtual fireplace wash over you. If you're enjoying this soothing historical lullaby, consider giving the video a sleepy thumbs up or subscribing with your eyes half closed. And hey, why not leave a drowsy comment telling me where you're drifting off from tonight? It's always fascinating to see which corners of the world are joining our nocturnal history club. Now, imagine yourself as a simple medieval farmer. You've just heard a sermon, a loud, passionate, and vaguely threatening sermon delivered by a man in flowing robes. He's shouting about sin, salvation, and how Jerusalem is suddenly everyone's business. You're not entirely sure where Jerusalem is. Somewhere east of France, south of your pig farm, maybe, but you nod along anyway. The Pope himself has declared that anyone who joins the crusade will receive full forgiveness of sins. Sounds like a pretty sweet deal, especially considering what you did behind the mill house last spring. You didn't think God saw that, but apparently he keeps receipts. Let's be honest, you're also mind-numbingly bored. You've been plowing the same patch of dirt for what feels like eternity. Your diet consists entirely of barley, onions, and whatever unfortunate creature didn't escape your stew pot. When someone mentions the possibility of eternal glory, it actually sounds like an improvement over your current situation. So, you decide to join the crusade. Congratulations. You've just made the worst decision of your soon-to-be-shortened life. First things first, you need to get to the Holy Land. No problem, right? Wrong. You're about to embark on a journey that makes your annual pilgrimage to the nearest market town look like a stroll to your neighbor's hut. The roads, if you can call them that, are more like muddy tracks designed by sadistic goats. Your feet are wrapped in what generously could be called shoes, but are really just pieces of leather held together by hope and string. Every step is a gamble. Will you twist your ankle in a pothole or just sink knee-deep into a mud puddle? The answer is probably both. As you trudge along, you start to realize that maybe you should have packed more than just a spare tunic and your lucky rabbit-ass foot. The sun beats down mercilessly, turning your armor, if you're lucky enough to have any, into a portable oven. If you're a peasant, you're probably wearing the medieval equivalent of a burlap sack, which offers all the protection of wet tissue paper against both the elements and pointy objects. Speaking of pointy objects, remember all those tales of chivalrous knights and glorious battles? Well, prepare to be disappointed. Combat in the Crusades was less about honorable duels and more about trying not to get stabbed while simultaneously not dying of dysentery. Your weapon, assuming you even have one, is probably a farming tool that you've convinced yourself could double as an instrument of war. Spoiler alert, it can't. But let's say you somehow survived the journey in the initial battles. Congratulations. Your reward is more misery. The Holy Land, it turns out, is not the land of milk and honey you were promised. It's hot, it's dry, and everything seems designed to kill you. The food is strange, the water is scarce, and you're pretty sure that scorpion you just saw was giving you the evil eye. You start to wonder if maybe staying home and continuing your thrilling career as a turnip farmer was such a bad idea after all. At least back home, the only thing trying to kill you was the occasional angry pig or a particularly vindictive case of the flu. As you lie awake at night, swatting away mosquitoes the size of small birds, you ponder the choices that led you here. Okay? Was it the promise of adventure? The lure of riches? Or was it simply the fact that anything seemed better than another year of watching grass grow? Whatever the reason, you're here now, in a land where the sand gets everywhere, and I mean everywhere, and where your chances of seeing your next birthday are about as good as your chances of seeing a mermaid riding a unicorn. But don't worry, dear listener. As you drift off to sleep in your cozy, modern bed, free from the perils of medieval warfare and questionable hygiene practices, remember that your ancestors survived these trials so you could enjoy the simple pleasures of indoor plumbing and food that is primarily composed of grit. The gentle crackling of our virtual fireplace continues, a soothing backdrop to these tales of woe from centuries past. Let the soft glow of imaginary flames flicker behind your closed eyelids as we delve deeper into the misadventures of our hapless crusader. Perhaps you've managed to survive the initial shock of arriving in the Holy Land. You've adapted to the heat, learned to shake the sand out of your boots, and even figured out how to use your sword without accidentally stabbing yourself. But just when you think you've got the hang of this crusading business, a new challenge arises: siege warfare. Imagine, if you will, standing outside the walls of a mighty fortress. The sun is beating down, turning your armor into a personal sauna. You're thirsty, you're hungry, and you're pretty sure that rash isn't going away on its own. But none of that matters, because you've got a city to conquer. The siege engines are wheeled into place, massive wooden structures that look like they were designed by a drunk carpenter with a vendetta against straight lines. You're told these contraptions will breach the city walls. You have your doubts, but hey, what do you know? You're just a former turnip farmer turned reluctant holy warrior. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. The siege drags on, and you start to wonder if maybe the defenders have the right idea, sitting comfortably behind their big, sturdy walls. Your diet, which you didn't think could get worse, has somehow managed to do just that. You've eaten things that you're pretty sure weren't meant for human consumption. That rock over there is starting to look appetizing. But wait, there's excitement in the camp. Word spreads that the walls have been breached. Okay? This is it. Your moment of glory. Okay? You charge forward with your fellow crusaders, ready to claim victory in the name of, well, you're not entirely sure anymore, but you're committed to seeing this through. As you enter the city, you realize that urban warfare in the 12th century is about as organized as a tavern brawl, but with more pointy objects. Streets become mazes, every corner a potential ambush. You're pretty sure you just got lost and ended up back where you started 3 times. In the chaos, you find yourself face to face with the defender. This is it, your chance to prove your worth as a warrior. You raise your sword, ready to strike, and promptly trip over a loose cobblestone. As you tumble to the ground in a clanking heap of armor and bruised pride, you'll end help but wonder if this is what the minstrels will sing about in their epic ballads. Somehow, against all odds, you survive the battle. City is taken, and you're now part of a victorious army. You should feel elated, triumphant even. Instead, you're just tired, sore, and pretty sure you've got fleas. As you settle in for another night of fitful sleep on foreign soil, you ponder the great questions of life. Why are we here? What's the meaning of it all? Okay, most importantly, how many more days until you can go home and never leave your village again? The fire crackles softly, its warm glow a stark contrast to the harsh realities of crusader life. As your eyelids grow heavy, let these tales of misadventure and questionable decision-making lull you into a peaceful slumber. Remember, no matter how bad your day was, at least you didn't have to siege a city armed with nothing but a rusty sword and an overinflated sense of divine purpose. As the gentle crackle of the fireplace fills the air, let us journey. back in time to explore the ancient martial arts traditions that shaped civilizations and warriors alike. Okay, these were not simple practices, but intricate systems of combat, honed over centuries and passed down through generations. In the depths of history, martial arts were not mere physical exercises, but a way of life, a philosophy, and a means of survival. Warriors were not born, but meticulously crafted, like finely tuned instruments of war. Each fighter was conditioned, categorized, and molded into a specific role, their training tailored to their unique strengths and the demands of their chosen discipline. Consider the ancient Greek pancration, a brutal combination of boxing and wrestling. Fighters were trained from childhood, their bodies sculpted through rigorous exercise and strict diets. They learned to strike with devastating precision, to grapple with unbreakable holds, and to endure pain beyond normal human limits. Every movement was calculated, every technique refined through countless hours of practice. The masters of these arts were not just instructors, but architects of human potential. They ran their training grounds like modern fight camps, only far harsher and more unforgiving. Students, many of them slaves or prisoners of war, endured punishing routines that pushed them to the very brink of their physical and mental limits. Strength drills, sparring matches, and mock battles with wooden weapons were daily occurrences, each designed to mold the body and mind into the perfect weapon. In feudal Japan, the samurai embraced a similar philosophy of total dedication to their art. The way of the sword, or kenjutsu, was not just about wielding a blade, but about embodying the very essence of the warrior spirit. Samurai spent years perfecting their technique, learning to read an opponent's breath, to strike with lightning speed, and to move with the fluidity of water. The katana, the iconic sword of the samurai, was not just a weapon, but an extension of the warrior's soul. Its curved blade, forged through an intricate process of folding and tempering steel, was designed for swift, deadly cuts. Samurai were taught precise angles of attack, footwork that could confound even the most skilled opponent, and the art of drawing and striking in a single, fluid motion. But it wasn't all about physical prowess. The samurai code, Bushido, emphasized honor, loyalty, and self-discipline. Warriors were expected to be not just skilled fighters, but cultured individuals, versed in poetry, calligraphy, and philosophy. This holistic approach to martial arts training produced warriors who were as comfortable in the imperial court as they were on the battlefield. In China, the Shaolin monks developed a system of martial arts that blended physical combat with spiritual enlightenment. The training grounds, nestled in the mountains of Henan province, became legendary for producing warriors of unparalleled skill and discipline. Monks spent years perfecting forms, or katas, each movement a meditation in motion, a perfect fusion of mind, body, and spirit. The Shaolin style was not about brute force, but about harnessing the body's natural energy, or qi. Monks learned to strike with explosive power, to move with the grace of a flowing river, and to withstand blows that would cripple an ordinary person. Their training included acrobatics, weapon forms, and grueling tests of endurance, all designed to push the limits of human potential. But perhaps no martial tradition captures the imagination quite like that of the Roman gladiators. These warriors, many of them slaves or prisoners of war, were not simple brutes, but highly trained combatants, each specializing in a specific fighting style. The Rhys Arius, for example, fought with a net and trident, using speed and entanglement to overcome his opponents. The Secutor, in contrast, carried a short sword and heavy shield, bred to chase and crush his foes. At the core of the gladiatorial system were the Lannister, ruthless combat instructors who ran the ludi or gladiator schools with iron discipline. Gladiators endured punishing routines, their bodies molded into weapons of war, not for the battlefield, but for the blood-soaked sand of the Colosseum. Every move was calculated, every weakness known and exploited. The gladius, the short sword, from which the term gladiator derives, was a marvel of Roman military engineering. Perfected through centuries of combat experience, it was designed for close quarters fighting. It's ideal for the tight confines of the arena. Gladiators were taught precise angles of attack, its footwork that could dance around an opponent's guard, and the art of distance control. But it wasn't just about physical technique. Gladiators learned the psychology of combat, how to read an opponent's breath, how to feint and misdirect, how to strike when the crowd least expected it. The goal wasn't just to kill, but to entertain, to create a spectacle that would leave the audience breathless with excitement. Yet, amidst the brutality and violence, there were moments of glory and redemption. Some gladiators became legends, like Spartacus, the former soldier turned rebel leader who escaped the ludus at Capua and nearly toppled the Roman Republic. Others earned their freedom through victory, becoming celebrities of their day, italized like modern athletes and envied for their skill and courage. The legacy of these ancient martial arts traditions lives on today in the modern disciplines that draw inspiration from the wisdom of the past. From the graceful movements of Tai Chi to the explosive power of karate. From the grappling techniques of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to the strategic mind games of fencing. The spirit of those ancient warriors continues to inspire and challenge us. As we reflect on these traditions, we are reminded of the incredible potential of the human body and spirit. These warriors, separated from us by centuries, speak to something timeless in the human experience, the desire to push beyond our limits, to achieve mastery over ourselves and our environment. In the quiet of the night, as the fire slowly dies down, let these tales of ancient martial prowess lull you into a peaceful sleep. Dream of warriors long past, of battles fought and won, of disciplines honed to perfection. Let the wisdom of the ages seep into your subconscious, carrying you gently into the realm of deep, restful slumber. As your eyes grow heavy and your breathing slows, imagine yourself standing in the shoes of those ancient fighters. Feel the weight of their weapons in your hands, the tension in your muscles as you prepare to face an opponent. But instead of fear or aggression, let a sense of calm wash over you. For in mastering the art of combat, these warriors also mastered themselves, finding inner peace amidst the chaos of battle. Let the rhythmic crackle of the fire blend with the whispers of history, creating a soothing lullaby that carries you deeper into relaxation. As you drift off, know that you carry within you the same potential for greatness that drove those ancient martial artists to push the boundaries of human achievement. In the ancient world, beauty was more than skin deep. It was a language, a form of expression that spoke volumes about one's place in society, their aspirations, and their connection to the divine. As we journey back through time to explore the fascinating world of ancient beauty and cosmetics, let the gentle crackle of the fireplace soothe your mind and prepare you for a peaceful night's rest. In the bustling cities of ancient Mesopotamia, like Babylon and Nineveh, cosmetics were not merely tools for enhancing appearance. They were intricate symbols of status, ambition, and social theater. Every carefully applied pigment, every waft of exotic scent, and every intricately woven braid told a story about its wearer, who they were, or perhaps more importantly, who they aspired to be. The Mesopotamians viewed beauty as inseparable from magic, medicine, and the divine realm. Cosmetics were not just for seduction or status, They were amulets against misfortune, expressions of piety, and even ingredients in powerful rituals of transformation. Both women and men in these ancient societies placed enormous importance on personal grooming, seeing it as a way to align themselves with the gods and protect against evil spirits. Central to daily life were scented oils and balms, which served a dual purpose in the dry climate of Mesopotamia. These weren't just moisturizers for parched skin, They were believed to carry divine energy, The act of applying fragrant oils was considered both hygienic and holy, a daily ritual that connected the mortal realm with the divine, Oils were carefully extracted from sesame seeds, almonds, and olives, often infused with precious aromatics like myrrh, cedarwood, or frankincense. The eyes were the focal point of Mesopotamian beauty, much as they were in ancient Egypt. Dark kohl was meticulously applied to the lids and lashes, creating a striking effect that was as much about protection as it was about aesthetics. The Mesopotamians believed that this dark outline around the eyes served as a shield against evil spirits and disease. The exaggerated eye shapes we see in Mesopotamian statues weren't artistic quirks, but reflections of real cosmetic practices. The ingredients used in these ancient cosmetics were diverse and often surprising to modern sensibilities. Charcoal, lead, and crushed minerals were common components, mixed into pastes and stored in small stone jars. Face creams and skin treatments were carefully recorded on clay tablets, their recipes preserved for generations. These ancient beauty formulas included ingredients like crushed date stones, beeswax, and milk, all designed to soften and lighten the skin. As we delve deeper into the world of ancient beauty, let the soft crackling of the fire transport you to a time long past. Imagine the skilled hands of Mesopotamian beauticians, mixing precious oils and grinding colorful pigments. Picture the elaborate hairstyles, each braid and curl telling its own story of status and belonging. In ancient Egypt, cosmetics played an equally important role in daily life and religious practices. The iconic, kohl-rimmed eyes of Egyptian art were not just a fashion statement, but a form of sun protection in the harsh desert environment. Egyptians of all social classes used cosmetics, though the quality and variety differed greatly between the elite and the common people. The famous Queen Cleopatra was renowned for her beauty regimens, which included milk baths and honey face masks. These luxurious treatments were believed to keep the skin soft and youthful. Egyptian women also used red ochre as a lip and cheek stain, creating a look that would not be out of place in modern makeup trends. Moving eastward to ancient China, beauty practices were deeply intertwined with philosophical and medical beliefs. The concept of yin and yang influenced cosmetic use, with certain colors and ingredients believed to balance these opposing forces within the body. White jade powder was highly prized for its ability to cool and purify the skin, while cinnabar was used to create a vibrant red for lips and cheeks. Chinese empresses and noblewomen were known to use elaborate face powders made from ground pearls and other precious materials. These powders were not just for vanity. They were believed to have protective and healing properties. The use of rice water for cleansing and brightening the skin was a practice that has endured for centuries, still popular in modern skincare routines. In ancient Greece and Rome, the pursuit of beauty took on a more scientific approach. Greek physicians like Hippocrates wrote extensively about skincare and cosmetics, blending medical knowledge with beauty practices. Roman women were particularly fond of lead-based face powders, which gave a fashionable, pale complexion, but came with severe health risks. The Roman philosopher Ovid even wrote a treatise on cosmetics, advising women on the best ways to enhance their beauty. He recommended mixtures of barley, eggs, narcissus bulbs, and gum, among other ingredients, for various skin concerns. The Romans also popularized the use of pumice stones for exfoliation and depilation, practices that are still used in modern spas. As we continue our journey through the annals of ancient beauty, let the warmth of the fire envelop you, easing away the tensions of the day. Allow your mind to wander through the perfumed halls of Babylonian palaces and the sun-baked streets of ancient Alexandria. In India, the use of cosmetics was deeply rooted in Ayurvedic traditions. Turmeric, a spice now celebrated for its anti-inflammatory properties, was used in face masks and body treatments. Henna was not just for decorative purposes, but was believed to have cooling properties, making it popular in hot climates. The use of kohl around the eyes, similar to practices in Egypt and Mesopotamia, was thought to protect against the harsh glare of the sun. The ancient Indus Valley civilization, contemporaneous with Mesopotamia, had its own sophisticated beauty practices. Its archaeological findings have revealed small containers that likely held cosmetics, suggesting a well-developed beauty industry even in these early urban centers. Across the ocean, in pre-Columbian America, indigenous cultures had their own unique approaches to beauty and cosmetics. The Mayans, for instance, valued a sloped forehead and crossed eyes as signs of beauty. To achieve this look, infants' heads were bound with boards, and children were encouraged to focus on objects close to their noses. In Aztec culture, the use of body paint was not just decorative, but deeply symbolic. Its different colors and patterns signified social status, religious devotion, and even preparation for war. The Aztecs also prized white teeth and used salt and charcoal to clean them, an early form of tooth whitening. As our journey through ancient beauty practices comes to a close, let the rhythmic sound of the crackling fire lull you towards sleep. Reflect on how these ancient practices, some strange to our modern eyes, others surprisingly familiar, have shaped our understanding of beauty and self-care. From the kohl-rimmed eyes of Mesopotamian priestesses to the pearl-powdered faces of Chinese empresses, from the milk baths of Cleopatra to the turmeric masks of Indian beauties. The pursuit of beauty has been a constant thread in human history. It speaks to our desire for self-expression, our search for divine connection, and our eternal quest to understand and enhance our place in the world. As you drift off to sleep, imagine the scents of ancient perfumes, myrrh, frankincense, lotus, and rose, mingling with the comforting aroma of the fireplace. Let the weight of history and the timeless allure of beauty carry you gently into your dreams, where perhaps you too will walk the streets of ancient cities, adorned in the splendor of long-forgotten cosmetic arts.